Hello.
Oh, it feels quite different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
More open space.
More open space in this one, yeah. So this is the garage. In the garage, we have here the electric system. So you can see it's a little bit more sophisticated than the simple survival.
Quite a bit.
And behind it we have the batteries, which basically store all the energy in here. So the batteries, depending if they're sealed or not, you might want them, outside of your house at the living space or not. Here it's because it's the garage. And also you might also want your electric system in the most central place in your house so that the connections are not too long, so you don't lose any electricity with direct current. So here you can see the skylight above. So this is letting all the hot air out and also letting some sunlight in. This is a kind of aquaponic system. So we've got fish in here. Then there's a pump that basically takes the water up, puts it through these plants, which filter it. And then it goes back in, creates oxygen, cleans the water, so that the fish have a nice environment. Over here we have what we call recirculation pumps. So you have a filter for the particles, and then basically you've got the different ones. So what's going to happen here, as you can see, we've got two different tubes, so two different pumps. One is actually going to recirculate the grey water in the planters. So basically the water's going to continue getting more and more filtered, and the other one is going to take the water into the toilets.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we do with the grey water.
Do you have anyone that works with you as far as building codes?
Yes, we do. We work on the building codes. So we make sure that everything is fine. Generally what will happen is, now it's been proven that the airships structurally are very, are good. What it's mainly is about the water treatment. And in any case, the water treatment that Airship does is much more than what the actual law asks for. So
It has a much more modern feel to it.
feel to it,
My
right?
goodness.
yeah.
So to build something like this, it smells more modern too. Are there any different dyes or paints that you're using that are more plastic?
Yeah, you can see the floor here. So this is a cement floor, but we also have adobe floors. We have both, but it's been, sealed with a special dye which gives it the color, etc., everything else. You can still see that we're using natural plaster. This is a natural plaster with a natural finish, whereas, somewhere like the simple survival would just be a kind of, finish a coat and leave it there. But this has got what we call a micro in it, which reflects as well. It's completely natural. You can still see the straw going through it. So it's just got a little bit more kind of, effort in the finishes. And
Okay.
yeah. So what you have here, so in the kitchen, what you can see, you'll have cold and hot water going down. So you can get your hot water, which gets heated up with the sun. And then this one here is the drinking water. So you don't necessarily need to clean your dishes with the drinking water, but it has already been filtered, so there's no particles and all that. But the drinking water is 100% potable. So we just have it separate. And I'm going to show you the whole system right now so you can see the different parts. And what you'll have is that once you use your kitchen water, it's going to go into this small planter here, and basically this here will separate, will keep all the little bits of food and oil, etc. It's going to separate it from the rest. Then this water will go down in this little botanical cell which has this banana tree and others, and then it's going to go to the main one. Whereas if you're, if it's just a sink, a normal sink or a shower, you can, send it straight away into the planter. But the kitchen water is considered like black water. So you do need to filter it before it can enter with the rest. And the best way that I've seen it been done is with worms. So you have this little box, you have fibers on top of it, that's where the worms live. And once the water comes onto it, all the particles and all the fat stays at the top. And then the worms eat this, and then their excrement is extremely nutritive as well, so it just gets mixed with the rest. So your worms are doing the job for you. They're doing this separation, this filtration. There's another one over there that you can see the ventilation tubes here. So this is the most modern version. So the inclination of the roof is just one huge body with these vigas that you can see here. Again, you were mentioning about reglementation. The reason why we have so many is just to make sure that we're fine. But even with reglementations, we could probably get rid of, every two we could probably get rid of one. So the slope is a single slope, because at some points we made valleys in the roof, and that can create problems. So this is just much safer from the beginning. Then it's sloping to the back of the house, so all the water will go into the cisterns which are at the back. And at the same time, what happens in winter is that you have a lot of snow here. So we have a special heating system which goes through the roof, and which basically, whenever we're going to have snow on top of the roof, it's going to melt all this snow, so we have drinking water even in winter.
And is that run off of just passive solar, or is that run by like electrical heating tubes?
No, it's passive solar with liquid. So we have an antifreeze liquid that goes through, and that just goes through the whole roof, heats it up. And also the reason why it's sloping away from the sun is that we noticed that when it was sloping towards the sun and the sun would come out, instead of melting it and then being able to take out, it will just evaporate it, so it would go away. So that's also one of the reasons why sloping this way is more important. A lot of, Earthships do have 45 years of experience, so a lot of whatever's been done, the reason why it's like this or like that is because sometimes there's been errors, or there's been a humanitarian build which forced us to find new ways, maybe simpler. And all of this experience is what has brought us to, this house right now, which is pretty much the optimum. Just so people, realize we're in a completely autonomous house off-grid, but you can have all your kind of appliances. We have the big screen TV over there, we have internet in here, we have, everything that people are used to. They don't need to, say, I can't have it, it's not good enough. You can have everything that you're used to here. And here I just want to show you the water system. So basically, the water's going to come from the cisterns, and it's going to come into the system gravity fed. That means that you don't need any pump for the water to come into your house. It just comes by itself because it's a little bit high, it needs to be at the roof. So what's going to happen is once it enters, we've got like a filter. We're going to look on the roof. There's different ways of filtrating so you don't have too many sediments coming in. But you have a filter here, which is a 50 mesh, before the pump, just to make sure you don't have anything that gets caught in it. And then the pump is going to go through all of this. You could just have the pump working with every different aspects, but what we have here is a pressure tank. Sorry.
Come around, don't I?
So this pump is going to fill the pressure tank with water, which is under pressure, as it's called, the pressure tank. And that means that this is going to release the water slowly, kitchen, maybe shower, etc., until it reaches a certain level where the pressure is going to drop. And once it drops, then this right here is a gouge. So once the pressure reaches a limit, it's going to activate the pump, and the pump is going to fill it up until it reaches the limit, which this one knows, and then it stops. So you don't have the pump, going every time you use it because you have the pressure tank. Anyway, so after the pump, we're going to one filter here, which is a 500 mesh. And after this one, we've got the separation into cold and hot water. So the hot water will go higher up. It's going to be heated with the sun. Cold water stays here. And then we have the drinkable water here. So we have another filter here, which is now 1000 mesh. And then we have this filter here, which is a ceramic filter. So this, and then this will go into our kitchen and in the rooms, the bathrooms. Every time you'll see the little tap for potable water. So this basically allows us to work everything we want in the house with rainwater, this system. Okay. Let me just turn this up. May?
Yeah.
So here we've got one room. So again, we've got the ventilation tube here, letting all the cool air come in. For just reason of, you know, like using the space up, we've got the closet here at the back of the bed. And then a bed here.
And it's the middle of the day, and it's not 95 degrees in here, and there's no air conditioner on. And yet you have full south-facing windows.
Yeah. So that's really important, yeah, to know, because you don't get that feeling in a video, but just to be able to feel this freshness inside the house is just amazing. And then, so the bathroom you have here. Again, you can see that you have hot, cold water here, and you have the potable one. And then you have the toilet seat and the shower. So this toilet seat here is getting water which comes from the botanical cells, which gets pumped in here. Then you use the toilet, goes into a septic tank outside, and then more beds where more plants and food is growing.
So I am curious. I see a lot of trees that are being planted in the beds, but not a huge number of like annual edibles. Is there a reason?
Well, one of the reasons is like here we're in, you know, it's a house which is mainly for rentals.
So there's nobody here to take care of and harvest
Well,
these.
no, there is. But I mean, you do get leafy greens. You've got kale. You've got tomatoes just there.
But they could be, like if somebody were living here and wanted to plant intensively, there's enough soil here. The square footage here is like a large greenhouse.
Yeah, you could. And on top of that, so you could just decide to dedicate every little bit of space just to foods. And on top of that, you can also do vertical farming. So here at the end, you'll see there's a little kind of waterfall, which is helping filtrate the water even more. And then a kind of hydroponic side before it kind of mixes under the earth again. But this could have been higher up, and you could have it going down. So you could have a whole vertical farming everywhere as well to kind of make as much use of the space as possible. And this would be perfect during summer because you don't want too much of this light coming in, so you could have as much as possible. And then in winter you could decide to change it and have another thing where you would have more sun coming in. But you can, if you want to, like just, you know, decide to have this just growing food.
Because it's only like somewhere in the mid 70s, maybe the high 70s here right now. It's not hot, it's warm, but it's not hot, so you could still grow greens. Yeah, you can still grow greens. And some are growing over there, yeah. So this is our second room. You can see there's, again, a natural plastering here on the tires. Do you mind if I leave that open so I can get the light really well?
No, of course. We can. Do you want me to even open?
The light's actually really beautiful.
Okay, perfect.
As long as I have that door opener, I can open. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It can be open. But I can. We can even open a bit more if you want.
Yeah, that's.
Let me try to open this one.
The light is so pretty. I don't want to lose out on it.
Is this alright now?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Okay, perfect. So this is the second room of this house. Again, you have the tube here.
So does each room have that tube?
Yes, each one of them has its own cooling. And you could even decide to have, you know, several cooling tubes in one room if it was big enough. So in the living room, you've actually got 2 tubes. And then what happens is that your room, even when it's closed, you can decide to open up this little window here, which basically the cold air will come from here, slowly get heated up, so it's going to start rising, and then it's going to exit through this window, and then finally through the skylight in the greenhouse. So the greenhouse, which is creating most heat, you know, the heat escapes as quickly as possible, and it sucks the air out of each room, which comes therefore through the pipes without using any electricity.
So this is literally, this is what I do. This is what I research, and yet my mind is boggled by how complete the system is. Because you're off grid, you're not heating, you're not cooling, you've got the food system. You don't have a well. Yeah. That I'm wow. Okay, yes, we can move on. I'll stop.
Yeah, no, the only utility that Earthships have for now is propane gas, which they're using. But this is the next step. It's to have biodigesters directly in your house, and you create your own gas for cooking. Then you would basically have everything you need.
Closed loop, totally closed loop system.
Yeah. So you can see here they use the bottles in the wall.
So do you see it on the other side?
Yeah.
Turn it. Look at this. So this doesn't feel like a ramshackle, thrown together hippie house. It feels more like something that would be a high-end luxury home, maybe in Hawaii. This is really beautiful.
When you see one of those, this is a cistern, and I think for this house there's 4. So what you're going to have is you have the water which comes from the roof, and we can also imagine it in winter, you know, being snow and being heated up. Then this water is going to slowly go down here. We have these gutters here which also have this tube which heats up the snow in winter, and it's just to show you the different kinds of stages of filtration. So we saw the whole water organizing module inside the house, but what we have here is we have one first filter through these stones. You can already see that the dust is here. We're in a desertic kind of area with these roads which are dirt roads, so there's a lot of kind of dust in the air. This is the reason. So this is going to take care of most of it, and then this is like a little dam which has holes, so that to try and keep as much of the dust in here. Then this is actually a salad bowl, and the water will basically then go into it, and it's got a few holes at the bottom, but mainly it's going to fill up and then be able to enter through here. So again, allowing all the sediments, you know, to stay at the end, and you can clean them off by yourself. So this is just to make sure that you have the least amount of dust and particles that go into your cistern. But if worse comes to worse and you feel like you need to clean it, you'll just have to empty it and open in here, probably get a child to go in and to clean up all everything that's at the bottom, and then just close it again. So what you have is you have these 2 cisterns are connected together and then enter inside the house, and on the other side you have 2 other cisterns which are connected. So if you do need to empty the cistern to clean it up, you always have the other side which you can use. So it's always better to have them separated.
And what is the annual rainfall here again?
I'm not exactly sure.
It can't be much.
It's not much at all.
Or if it is, it's like once a year.
Yeah, no, it's not much at all. So you have moments where you're going to have a lot of water in one moment, so you get all this from the roof, and that's going to fill up as much as possible. What you do also have is dew at night, so you actually see how much the water has gone in and does pass. So even just from the dew, you actually do have some water coming into it. And then the other thing is, if we weren't able in winter to harvest the actual snow, then we would definitely not have enough water. But the fact that we're able to heat up this roof in winter and make use of that water too makes it enough, basically.
Important.
Yeah, very important. And then it's just going to depend on your climate, wherever you come from, wherever you live. So in a tropical region, you wouldn't think of this. But the whole idea is you need to think of your consumption. So whether it's electricity, you need to think, okay, what are the different things I'm going to want in my house to be comfortable? And then you'll be able to calculate how many batteries you need, and therefore you'll be able to calculate how many solar panels you need. And for the water, it's the same. You calculate the actual, surface of your roof, and then you think, okay, with this much rainfall, this is going to give me this much water. Therefore, I will need this many cisterns, which will hold this for the moments where I don't have any water.
And you have an overflow?
And you always have an overflow on everything, yeah. So all the botanical beds, whether it's grey water, black water, always have an overflow. And these cisterns, if they get too full, they also have an overflow which just goes out. So if you look at it from the roof and you look back, this is where you see all the dirt which has been packed at the back. Yeah.
And can you plant something at the bottom to kind of disguise it, or do the roots interfere with things?
Yeah. So in one of the projects that I was working on in Cameroon, they have a lot of malaria. So what we were doing is, one of the reasons is there was a lot of dust, and the other reason is we wanted to make sure that there was no mosquitoes inside the house. So what we did is we planted a lot of aromatic plants here, which are known to
repel them?
To repel, mosquitoes. So having these, it would basically clean the air which comes in, and at the same time give it an aroma, which basically would go into your house, which smelled really good, and which also meant that mosquitoes would not really like being inside your house.
Yeah. What a good idea.